Do you find yourself constantly worrying about what other people think? Perhaps not doing something because of fear or what people might say? Well, you're not alone. It's normal and healthy to care what people think, well, until it's not. Yo, what's up, everybody? It is your boy Brandon, man. I want to thank you guys for coming out and checking out another video, man. Sometimes it's not always about, doing photo shoots and everything. I get a lot of questions from my social media, and I always try to take some of those questions and come on here and try to expand more on it, because you never know who that type of situation is affecting. So I had a really great question from my social media on Instagram, and somebody reached out to me, and I don't know what I did with the message, but I'm kind of paraphrasing here. But basically, it was somebody who was a photographer who really liked getting into photography, but with competition and everything around his area, he wanted to know. He kind of found himself trying to do what other people do, trying to get in with the crowd, thinking that he always had to reach out to other photographers to be like, hey, how's my work, what do you think about this, what do you think about that, to a point where he was kind of losing himself in photography and what he wanted to be. So I thought this was a great idea and a great segue to come into what my experience have been as a photographer, and hit on about 5 different areas about basically the approval, the adjustments, and what it means to be your own self in photography. All right, let's get into it right now. Okay, man, straight into the point, man. The first thing I wanted to do, let's talk about our first area of this whole situation. I picked out a few things that I thought would really contribute to what I went through. All right? There was a guy by the name of Tom Ferry, photographer. And according to Tom Ferry, the need for approval has been conditioned. It's been conditioned in us since birth. Approval from others gives us a higher standard and a higher sense of self-esteem. We're convinced that their recognition matters to ourselves, to our self-worth, and how deeply we value ourselves. As a photographer, how many times have you sent your work to people, or have you been in groups to where people had to approve or acknowledge that your work was like, oh man, that's great, man, in order for you to get to that next point? How many times have we did that? I'm here to tell you that could really hinder your progression, and it can do something to your self-worth and your self-esteem. Because what happens when you never get that approval from people? What happens when people don't give you that attaboy or that pat on the back? Is that going to stop you? Is that going to hinder you from getting to that next step and doing what you want to do as a photographer? Don't look for everybody's approval. Because if you do that, you're going to kind of set yourself back, and you're not going to progress the way you want to, thinking that your work is not on par or not up to speed according to where you are in your walk, in your journey as a photographer. Okay, you can't worry about everybody's need for approval. Continue to grow, continue to blossom in what you want and where you are in your steps, and as you move forward, you will get there. Being accepted. All right, this is a little bit different from need from approval, but being accepted, the irony is that what starts out as an effort to ensure our acceptance and happiness can end up having an opposite effect. When you start putting more weight on what others think about you than what you think about yourself, it may be time to have a look at how you filter out what exactly that you're hearing. It's healthy to care, but not to change who you are solely based on other people's opinions. Now, when I was doing a little bit of research and things like that, and I had to overlook my career and my journey as a photographer, I remember feeling like that. I remember this whole being accepted part. I wanted to be in with, the people who else was, going out and doing things, people who were getting the accolades, people who their work was being looked at. And I'm like, yo, like, do y'all see what I'm doing? Like, I don't understand. Like, I know my stuff is better or as good as the other person. So why are they not reaching out to me? Why are they not, seeing what I'm doing? And that really used to play a part in my growth as a photographer, because I'm like, man, forget this. If they not gonna reach out to me, then I don't want to do it no more. I'm good, because it feels like I'm not doing it. I'm not getting where I want to be. But I really had to stop and look at, again, my journey and what I am trying to do, because it's not about being accepted by everybody else. Because when you are happy in what you do, and when you are happy in your growth and what you're experimenting with, it really turns a page on a lot of things and your outlook on a whole lot of things. And I had to really start being happy for what I wanted to do. I really had to enjoy photography, and I stopped putting so much weight on what other people thought about my work or my character and things like that in order for me to get to that next level. All right, because when you start doing that, it really starts to take a toll on you. You be like, maybe I'm not good as I think I am. Maybe I'm not this, or maybe I'm not that. So you really have to filter out kind of the noise and what you're hearing and other people's opinions, because if you do this for a whole photography thing based on a lot of people's different opinions, it could really hurt you detrimentally, and you won't be able to really get to where you want to. Okay. Losing yourself. Now, this is really big. Caring too much about what people think can lead to people pleasing. Everybody know what people pleasing is, right? People pleasing, exhaustion, and basically just overall losing yourself. You might become anxious over being judged wherever you go, too afraid to get out, enjoy life, or really being the photographer that you want to be. Instead of being yourself, you're focused on avoiding shame and criticism by not standing out because you're trying to be too cool. How many people stopped doing what you wanted to do because you were afraid of the criticism or shame? A lot of you guys right now have ideas out there. A lot of you guys are like, man, I think this will be dope. But you're so afraid of jumping out there or doing something different that you will be rejected or the community won't accept you. I am a staple for that type of behavior, because there was a minute where I did not want to proceed with my idea. There was a minute where I did not want to come out with the black dish, because I knew that when something like that hit the market, that so many people would not be accepting to it. They wouldn't be open to the idea. They couldn't see what I see. If somebody who sits on location and is out doing portraits and things for years, like over a decade, I knew what the black dish could do. I've been using white and silver so long, just like everybody else. But I knew the hate, the criticism, the pushback, all of those things that I would get. And I had to be myself. I had to be true to myself, because I knew what I was doing. And if I would have just listened to everybody else, trying to avoid shame, trying to avoid criticism, keep my name where it was in a community, I would not have proceeded with my dreams and my aspirations of, being an entrepreneur or becoming something or coming out with something that I felt so strongly about. And I'm so glad I did not listen to that type of criticism, because the black dish is absolutely incredible, and now a lot of people are starting to see it. So that is my point to you guys. If you have something that you like, if a certain way you want to do things, a certain way you want to go about things, I have one thing for you. Be true to yourself. Don't worry about it. Focus and avoid shame. Focus and avoid the criticism, because if you don't, you will end up listening to a lot of different people. You won't be that standout because you're trying to be cool. They're trying to fit into the crowd, and it just won't work. Be you. That's what this is about. Be yourself. Man, be yourself. It may not be possible or even practical to completely stop caring what other people think, but it's helpful to work on being yourself and not putting too much weight on what others, particularly strangers, think about you, because there's a good chance that they don't think about you at all, actually. And guess what this is? Most of the time, it's always the people who can't do what you do. Ain't that crazy? It's always those people who really can't do what you do. I mean, think about it. I've never seen in my over a decade of shooting, I've never seen big photographers or videographers or things like that. I've never seen somebody big who has a platform, who has great work. I've never seen them commenting or being snobby or something on somebody else's channel or work. I've never seen that. I mean, literally think about it. Now, some of y'all might be like, oh, I saw one person or I saw this. Okay, we're talking about like a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? I've never seen that. A lot of times it's because they don't have the time for that. They know the type of work that they put out. They know that they're a huge name. They know that their work speaks for themselves. They have that work. Why would they spend the time coming on somebody else's stuff just to criticize them or say something to them that is just rude, hateful, all like? They don't have the time for that. Most of the time, the critics and stuff that we get, most of the time, the people who will come on and try to bash you or say something to you, little smart remarks, I've seen them all a lot of times. Most of the time, guess what? It's always the people who can't do or even come close to what you do. And I'm gonna be honest, sometimes I've seen some of these comments and went to these people's pages, Instagrams, you know what I'm saying, YouTubes and stuff like that. And you're gonna try to comment on my work. I'm gonna just leave it at that. But man, like sometimes we just have to get out our head. You know, like I said, most of the big wigs and most of the people who got stuff going for themselves, they not on other people's channel like trying to, come at them. It's always the people who can't do what you do. All right, all the people who always want to hate and everything like that. So be yourself. Something that I pride on as a photographer that separates me from a lot of other photographers, YouTubers, all those things like that, is my character, my people skills, the way that I just go about doing things, because I have this mindset and this mentality that anything that I do, I always want to be different than everybody else. My channel is different. The way I do my photo shoots are different. I like my stuff to be a movie. I want you to come laugh. I want you to come, learning something educational. I want you to see me as a person, because that's just the type of person that I am. And I try to incorporate that into my photography to keep you guys coming back and to keep something that nobody else is doing. I know other photographers are not like me. I love having fun. I am a freaking fool. But at the same time, I do also know how to educate. I know how to separate a lot of those things. I know how to break things down Barney style to a lot of ways where you can understand it. But I'm myself. I never try to be like somebody else. I am my own person. I want to do things different. And that's what I am here to tell you guys. Don't dare to be different. Be yourself and don't worry about what other people think. Use it as motivation, not a scale. What I mean by that is this: perfection is an illusion. Okay? It doesn't exist. It has no place in real life. On one hand, we always say nobody is perfect. But on the other hand, we say practice makes perfect. Practice doesn't make perfect. I've learned that. Practice doesn't make perfect. It makes improvement. Using the success of other people as an inspiration can work well as long as you remember that you're not that person. You are you. You have to ask yourself, how long did it take that person to gain the success, and how much work did they put in to achieve it? When you find yourself on a comparison spiral, take a moment and recenter yourself and your goals. Use competition and comparison only as a motivator, not as a scale. Let me say that to you one more again. Use competition and comparison as a motivator, not a scale. There's nothing wrong with looking at other people's success. There's nothing wrong with using that type of stuff as an inspiration to motivate you and get you going. Be like, okay, if they can do it, I can do it. But remember, you're not that person. You have to be you. When you see the way we do off-camera flash or natural light or, you know, the editing, you have to ask yourself, how long did it take that person? God, how long did it take him to learn that and do that? Regardless of my journey is not your journey. All right. And a lot of times as photographers, especially up and coming photographers, they try to take those shortcuts. You are not that person. It takes a lot of drawing, a lot of studying, a lot of practice, a lot of becoming a student of the game in order to get to that point where we are. You are not that person. Your journey is your journey. But there's nothing wrong with using the inspiration and the success of somebody else to motivate you, all right, and to get you to keep you focused on the goal at hand. But remember, you can use competition and you can use comparisons as a motivator all day. We use it in photography all day. Use it as a motivator. But when you start using it as a scale, trying to compare yourself to somebody else, then that's where the spiral starts to come in at. Because then you try to change who you are. You try to change your work to be like somebody else's. You try to mimic everything that they're doing, and that's where the spiral starts to come in, because you're not being yourself now. Now it's taking you longer to learn and to adapt, because you're trying to adapt the false narrative that is not your narrative. You need to adapt what you know. You need to go on your own journey. You want to learn how you want to learn, okay? But don't try to use what's over here as a scale. You can use that person over there as a bulletin to say, that's where I want to be, or that's where I'm trying to get to. And then you get back to your own journey and you start to use that. As long as you don't use it as a scale, all right? And I hope that makes sense. Remember, practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes improvements. We are never going to be perfect, but we can always strive to make improvements and improvements. But I will never be perfect. You will never be perfect. All right. So again, to all my people out there, man, I hope this really helped you, man. I hope I was able to shed some light on some things, man. We are back, man. I know I took a little bit of a break, man. I had a lot of clients and weddings and things to do, but we are back. We're going to start dropping like crazy. There's a lot of gear that I'm coming out with to show you. There's some photo shoots. There's some short form. There's some long form things that I'm coming out with. So in the next 2 weeks, there's going to be a lot of things dropping, man. I'm going to be rolling them out as fast as I can, man, to get back to that point. A lot of people have asked me, man, where have you been at? Where you been at? But that's all right, man. Sometimes we can't be dropping every day or every other day. There's a lot of things that we have to do, man. So I really appreciate you guys for rocking with me, man. Also, make sure you guys get over, man, to www.brandoncolephotos.com, man. Check out Brandon Cole Photography. Also, check out Brandon Cole Clothing, man. The merch that's over there, man. Some of my favorite gear is over there, photography gear. That was another statement that I wanted to step out with, man, when coming into this photography thing. Again, I wanted to make my stamp in this whole thing. So go check out Brandon Cole Clothing. Go check out Brandon Cole Photography over at www.brandoncolephotos.com. You can get some of my merch, and also you can get my presets. It's also over there, all right? Until next time, man, make sure you guys comment, like, and subscribe. This has been an amazing time, man. I hope I was able to shed some light on some things, man. And remember, this is your boy Brandon, aka the Kevin Hart of Photography, because I am a fool. And I will see you in the next video. Holla!